about it because.
Well, the consensus of this table last night was everybody was concerned that the 80-20 would fail because of the 20% of it. That was the consensus of this table. I think if everybody's
I think
honest,
that's a fair
everybody-
I thought the 80-20 was a good idea to begin with.
I think that the issue is gonna be how we educate the community.
And I think
That's
it's
the
gonna be
key.
easier to educate people on one thing.
That's
Exactly.
correct.
As opposed to two things.
That's correct.
And I think that we have options of town hall meetings. There are several ways that we can get the message out. I think the issue is us educating why we're doing what we're doing.
And there's good examples from some of the, I mean, and this is just an example, but, you know, Cliff says to be careful of, you know, saying we're gonna put the money here, but I'm saying just an example to educate. There's some counties in Arkansas that have had to literally shut down wings of their jails and are turning people loose because they don't have the funding.
And what happened was on television today, Star City had to figure it out last
And
year.
if I can say something, didn't mean to interrupt.
You're fine.
When this jail was built, whatever the tax was to raise the monies for it, it shouldn't have went totally away. They should have kept an 8-cent sales tax on the books for upkeep and maintenance. Otherwise, like a lot of other counties, you'll shut down, or you'll have to raise the millage just to support the jail, or you'll have to have a jail tax.
Yeah.
So, but we gotta have it. Our community's good right here. People that do lock them up, they don't turn them loose. But you don't want to get to that point. Everybody talks about the roads, the community, the schools. If it's not safe, they're not coming no matter how good the schools and roads are. It's just something to think about. Don't, and a lot of people, especially when they go to cuts, it's usually teachers and law enforcement, which is the last thing to cut. There's so much in politics and political things, that's the agenda they have to do. So that, I think Cliff mentioned earlier, that's the gospel to me, is to have a good jail upkeep and not put another tax. They gotta go out and special vote on the jail. Here you got it right here where you can fund it, and look, we're helping you by not bringing another tax upon you for the jail. So that's.
But I will say this, every place you look in the paper, there's, I mean, right and left, you've got those people out there.
Carol's right about that.
That's right. And they are, look at the legislature, that's a perfect example. They're cutting, and they're voting against everything. But yet people want the services, but you know, if you play, you've got to pay. I mean, that's just not.
Right, and people need to know, especially in southeast Arkansas, if you cut law enforcement in your jail, don't be like Dermont.
That's
And
right.
I'm not gonna mention other communities over there, but that's the first thing they did, and that's why they got the problem. And that's why people like Drew County want.
But what, you know, we just got so many people that have that kind of mindset right now, and they want to cut everything. I mean, if there's a tax on it, they're gonna go down and have it. I remember a long time ago when I was voting for something, somebody came in and we had several things we had to vote for, you know, just a continuation. And I heard a guy come out there and he said, I didn't vote for one thing. He said, whatever they had, I just marked against everything, and I thought he was good. Well, but I mean, you know, there's nothing.
He didn't know what those were.
Yeah,
Well, but I mean, you have.
I think the good book says those people will always be with us.
Yes.
And people like to see what they're voted for, what's going on, and it's easy to vote.
Well,
It's
people
easy to
live
see
with
law
it more
enforcement.
educated.
It's easy to see the jail over there, and everybody doing the job.
But in reality too, we need to think, we're gonna talk about that. We just need the same thing with the library tax. When it ends, we won't have anything for the maintenance and upkeep of the library. So we're gonna have to have other funds.
Well, now, wait just a minute now. The library gets money every year.
That's right.
They get a check every year.
Since 1964.
Is that how far back? They do get
Because
checks.
it is original.
And I want you to know, on a positive note about our community, I believe, last week they received a $5,000 donation.
They do.
They really did.
Somebody died.
Well,
I'm not giving five.
unfortunately, that's true, but they remembered the library. Okay, so I'm just telling you, that there's some bright spots, is all I'm saying.
And it's something they see, it's up there, they see it happen, it's not something, where all that money go? Well, let me show you the paper. Paper doesn't mean anything, it's what you look at.
Look at.
Schools, the hospitals.
But we should have maintenance on the old. whatever we're gonna use it for.
Well, we'll wait to cross that bridge.
Judge, can I ask a question of the court? Is everybody, I mean, I find Mr. Appleberry's suggestion about 75-25 being to be reasonable, based on all the numbers. And it doesn't mean that you can't disagree with me on that conclusion. But is everybody comfortable with that ratio? Does anyone have any objections to it?
I would probably be the only one that should have because I'm going to run the road department on whatever money is there.
I know.
I mean, but I feel comfortable.
With that ratio?
That we could do it with 70.
The reason why I'm asking this question, obviously, that's one of the things I have to put in the ordinance, okay? And what I'm asking, yes, Bill?
One question, so the 25%, if it came down to it, we can allocate it, if we didn't have enough money.
As needed.
We could allocate it as long as we don't specify.
That's correct. That is absolutely right dead on. And
And
is there?
75% will be for the road department.
Yes, ma'am. It will remain dedicated, yes, ma'am. And the tax rate will not go up.
Well, now, on our turnback funds.
Yes, ma'am.
Once a month, we get $72,000 to $75,000 a month in turnback funds from
Correct.
the state. And that's what we pay our county, our road department with.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that not right? Yep.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that's that $880,000.
That's part of that 880,000.
That's that number right
Yeah.
there.
But we will continue to do that.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, because that's a dedicated
Yeah.
amount of money that's dedicated to that purpose, and you can only use it for that
Yeah.
purpose. So, yes, that'll continue as it has in the past. Do I hear any objections to the 75-25 ratio? I hear no objections. That means that's what I'm gonna put in when I draw up, okay? I mean, I'm serious. If anybody got any objections to that, I'm gonna hear it, because I don't wanna draw it up. I don't want, now, you can change your mind before you vote on it, okay?
Well, that's right.
That's the prerogative of everybody here at this table.
I think our main battle is gonna be educating everybody to the fact that it's not an increase, it's the same amount they've been paying for however many years we've had the
That's
road
right.
tax.
And we can always still use the money for the
It's
same
just
thing.
gonna be allocated, well, I don't even know how much.
Well,
you know,
it's gonna be allocated as this court, by majority vote,
Sees fit.
sees fit. And the important thing to remember about that is that there's any number of uses that can be made of that.
Well, and how it reads on here, the 1% for 6 years, I mean, you get down into it and then it says the 75-25, but I'm saying the initial says if you break it out, then you're getting, even though we know that 75 and 25.
You're right on the next question. I want to ask this question because I want to hear if there are objections to this. I don't want anybody to be intimidated by me. I don't think I'm going to.
By you?
Well, I hope not. You see her? You done got feisty on me now. Anyway, the next question is do you split the 75-25 into two separate ballots, or do you leave them together? Now, does everyone leave them together? Anybody have any problem with that? Because that's why I'll draw it up. I'm looking at Frank, because,
I have concerns, but I'll vote the way the council votes.
okay.
Because I really have concerns that if you have one and it's defeated, you're dead in the water. That was a concern we had last.
There is the fallback, Orlando pointed out a minute ago, about if you have to go back to a millage, then you can. It's a fallback position. And it's
I'm
not,
gonna be for it, I can tell you.
it's not one that anyone wants to do, but you'll be forced because the money is evaporating.
But if we split it and they defeat 25% and do pass the 75,
You're still in the same box.
but we still have a little money for the county. We have 75% for the county roads.
For the road.
And
Yeah.
then we can raise the millage to make up for the 25 that we needed for, whether it's county general or the jail or whatever. But, and they may drop both of them, but if we put them all together, or Judge, are you willing to gamble that?
Absolutely.
And you know, Tommy, to directly answer your question, and I mentioned it earlier, is if you split them, you will lose the supporters that you will naturally get for the road revenue.
And you may still lose.
I don't think you do.
Yeah, you may do it. I don't know, this whole thing, we may try as hard as we can for the best interest of this county and fail, but we're gonna try hard.
But you're tweaking it is what you're doing, and then they're gonna say, well, if they do it now, then what are they gonna do in another 6 years?
The naysayers that will always be with us. I have looked at this thing as long and hard as anybody has, and plus, I know Robert has spent a lot of time on it. A lot of members of this court spent a lot of time on it, mine has, and everything else. Everything we're doing is designed or intended to be in the best interest of the county. At the bottom of the well, it has to be for the, or we shouldn't be for it. And I don't have any problem in my mind, because I'm not here to, I'm just your lawyer, I'm not your policymaker. Y'all are.
Well, when you close the courthouse 2 days a week, they're gonna go into one.
But we don't want that.
Or if they call from Troy Road out there and say, I got a pothole, and you don't show up.
Exactly.
There are all sorts of
I
problems.
mean, they'll be saying, why didn't you vote for that?
But to bring it to a head, do I hear that we're gonna leave it together on one ballot issue?
I'm just
As
concerned
designed,
about
let me just say this,
75.
let me just say this. If you leave it on if you tell me this, it's gonna read just like the first ordinance you got. Okay, remember that. It'll read just like what you got from your packet, not what you see here tonight.
How much of the, I know the whole ordinance will be, isn't that on the whole, when you vote, the whole ordinance will be there?
There, actually, you can see it in ordinance 2, and I have
The upper part is in both.
Let me show
Okay, so
you.
just the whole thing, I just want to keep it as simple as possible with what the.
Absolutely.
we're gonna read.
Let me show you. This is,
y'all think we should go 6 years?
Patty, let me show you.
You think that?
This is the way we'll read it. This is, of course, the 80/20.
We've done 4, but.
That's what will be on the ballot, that and then for and against.
Okay, that will be on the ballot.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's what will be
The
on the
reason
ballot.
is, people has been able to see what one.
And then you see the for and against. It starts,
Y'all don't get to hear.
it starts right below that line.
Is there any,
And then you have this at the bottom.
is there any way you can
Put that
put
on the
wordage
bottom.
in there that is a continuation and not an
I can use it
increase?
on the road.
Oh, absolutely, that's true.
I mean, it is.
But they won't think it's an increase.
That has to be true. And I think that everybody should be committed to stay within it.
If you take 75% of that and put all the figures that you gave us last night in there.
The very good thing, that's really a truly good thing, is the money earned back to some company. Well, that allows you to do what you're doing here by having that off to be able to take care of your shortfalls.
And that's gonna be for 10 years?
I'm sorry.
That's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think so.
It will.
Well, this was accepted.
And that's what everybody's gone with. Now, Robert seemed to be raising an objection. Let me ask you.
I say
Judge, do you have a problem with the 75 versus 80/20?
I just think it's a harder sale because 80 sounds so much more than 75.
No kidding.
I mean, it really does. I mean, no, it's a fact over the whole numbers. If you go to an auction and you start an item at 62, they'll go up to 69, but they won't cross the. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, and a large portion of people are not gonna be beyond that.
Exactly.
I don't know, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I don't have a vote in it. But I would say that it's a psychological thing to people. But 75-25 sounds great to me.
I
Everybody
just
thinks
think
it.
if there's some way we can word it where it says a continuation of an existing, I mean, I don't.
It says that in the ordinance. Now, when this is, there should be, anytime you have an issue like this for the ballot, there should be informational statements prepared
That's right.
that can be handed out to say that very thing. That's where that comes from. And that's something that Now, I'm not looking for a job here, but I mean, I'm just telling you, that's something I need to have my hands on, and I need to be helping with that to make sure that
You do
it's
this.
absolutely accurate, okay? That there's no mess ups on that, because what we tell the people has to be the gospel, and nothing but the gospel,
Exactly right.
and nothing but the gospel.
We've got to be transparent as we can be.
Yes,
Yeah, you
absolutely.
want to be. You want to be.
Well, that's what everybody here wants anyway, but everybody else needs to know that.
That's right, that's right.
What's that? Oh, they're giving it back to me?
All right.
She still got it.
So,
You can have that, Carol. Here, let me just discuss it. Yeah, you got one already. You can have it.
People that own. Yeah. Continuation.
Well, by the time they get to the poll July 9th, everybody should be informed of what, how they're going to vote. I mean, it should be a, oh, what am I going to do when I get there? I mean, we should,
They'll know.
between the newspapers, radio, interaction,
They'll know.
town hall meetings, whatever we need to do to
Exactly.
get the information out there.
I think 75-25 would be.
Well, I understand. I'm taking y'all at your word that that is what you want me to do. 75-25, one ballot issue. I'm going to prepare the ordinance, okay? And I assume we'll meet next Monday night and have final consideration.
and what are we talking about, exact money on 75% that will go to the road?
75% of the 1 cent.
How much?
165 million.
Okay.
Out of the 2.2 would be 1.65
No, no, you
million.
Not 165
No,
million.
not
I want
165, yeah,
165.
1.65 million. If you take 75.
I knew we had a lot richer than my home.
Okay, we do it.
Do we have any more? Do we have
But I'm wondering, how long is that gonna last? How long will that last?
6 years?
I know that, but I mean, how long will that, if we do that, the 75-25, how much will that 25 help us to get over it in the county general?
How much money would the 25 be?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm saying, not that, but I'm saying, how will that help us in the long run? How long can we coast on that 25%?
But it's gonna double what you've been putting in it.
Yeah, and you'll have a reserve to put back in there.
You're gonna take.
Theoretically.
Theoretically, depends on how quick we spend it.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it.
I haven't considered anything else.
I won't spend anything.
Well, I know, but I mean, yeah, that's the only way you can answer that question, depends on how quick you want us to spend it.
That's right. I
I'm
mean,
just trying, just.
and I understand you don't want to spend anything, but I'm gonna tell you something, it's just a little bit embarrassing sometimes when people come in this courthouse. When you look up there and there's ladies up there.
Well, there's nothing we can do about it.
I mean, and I've been looking for grants in every direction. I've got,
That's the
I'm less worried about that.
Judge, I have a favorite story. When Dale Hughes was county judge, he took a ladder down the hall of the courthouse and he unscrewed every other light bulb.
That's right,
I remember that.
I remember that.
I'm just gonna tell you, it can get tough.
That's exactly right. It's not tough yet.
Y'all don't believe that, do you? I saw him do it.
I know Mr. Dale, I
I tell you, it also took at that time, in the road department, it was $35.
I think that's right.
Carolyn Brown told me that a long time ago, we were talking about something, and she said it was really tough. $35 was in the road department.
Well, with those instructions,
It's whether we can buy rope.
I'm gonna draw it.
razor blades or not.
everybody understands we gotta have you back Monday night to deal with it. And are we gonna do it at 6 or 7?
Please say
Better,
so.
you better say 7. 'Cause I'm gonna
yeah,
have
we
to
got
call.
people that,
I'm.
Well, if it
I
doesn't
understand.
pass, we don't wanna go back to the people.
All right, now the press is on notice right now that we're gonna meet. I think they already knew that, though, last time.
Yeah.
So that's already been done. And I have my instructions, Judge, there's nothing else that I need.
okay, so that being said, I have a motion to adjourn.
I don't know the way it's done.
Second.